Welcome, beautiful beings, change makers, and giants from around the world. We've got another incredible masterclass for you. Hang tight, and we will jump right in. Welcome back, everybody. We're glad to be here again for another powerful masterclass. I'm Nick Smith. I'm joined in studio by Jacquie Moses and Rose Latham. Rose, I'm going to turn it over to you for a little bit for housekeeping, and then we'll introduce our guests and dive into an incredible session. So are we ready?
Ready.
All right.
Wonderful to be here with you again. And the first thing I just want to share with everyone is hopefully everyone has received the message that our new event location is now at Villa Park Stadium, taking place still in Birmingham, 2 miles outside the city centre. So don't change your hotel. No need to change your booking or any of your international or national transport. You still need to be in Birmingham, and we're recommending that everyone still stays in the centre of Birmingham. And you don't need to be a Villa Park fan. For those of you not in the know, that's a football team. You do not need to be a Villa Park fan in order to come to the event. It's not a requirement. So we've got extra information about Villa Park, how to get there, and a series of FAQs coming out to all ticket holders and anyone who's interested to know a bit more about the location of the event. So keep an eye on our website. And I will also put the link to buy tickets in the comments here. We still have tickets available for your purchasing requirements. And the one I really want to highlight is the ticket price has gradually increased over time. And one way that you can still gain a cheaper access to this incredible event is through the Bring a Body ticket. Now, that has been reinstated because it finished and then was offline for a couple of weeks. We've brought it back. So your Bring a Body ticket means that you can get 2 tickets for the early bird pricing, and that was called early creator ticket. So for £375, which is about $400 odd, you can get 1 ticket, and you buy 2 at that price instead of the higher price. So buying 2 tickets at the same time allows you to get them at a cheaper price. So that's really worth looking into. And now we've only got 2 months to go. So we are now on countdown towards the event, fundraising money for Birmingham Children's Hospital, for the auditory unit, and at the same time supporting people to expand their state of being from the moment you decide to come to the event, buy a ticket, organize all your transportation, and to be with us, let alone be in the presence of some of the impeccable and incredible speakers that we have who will guide you on this journey. So I think those are the key things that I'd really like to share at this point. Got wonderful Jacquie now. Oh, and Lindsay Capp is bringing us a special Easter edition of the masterclass on Easter Sunday. So that's at 6 p.m. GMT. So that's 1800. Is that what you'd say? 1800 GMT. All those details will be shared on the Facebook page of the Ultimate Birmingham Experience Interest Group, the Ultimate Coach Facebook group, and your other usual places where you are picking this up. So do tune in for that. And now I'll hand you over to Nick and Jacquie. Thank you for allowing me this time.
That's awesome. Thank you. Well, let's dive into our incredible guests and let's get this show going, shall we? So today, in this TUB 24 masterclass, where we're privileged to have Jacquie Moses with us. Jacquie, from a young age, was curious about human behavior, and which steered her towards a journey of discovery and transformation. After an initial career in marketing and financial services, she embraced her passion for coaching in 2005. diving deep into methodologies such as the 3 principles that have influenced her practice significantly. Nearly 2 decades later, Jacquie has become a beacon of change, guiding professionals and leaders to peel away layers of limiting beliefs and navigate through life's transitions and stresses with grief, or not with grief, with grace. Let's change that up, right? Her approach, characterized by profound stillness and attentive listening, invites clients into the heart of their human experience, revealing that we are indeed more than our self-imposed narratives. Jacquie extends her wisdom through talks, workshops, and one-on-one coaching, while also mentoring other coaches and practitioners. Her impactful work has reached leaders and teams across various sectors, including the NHS, NGOs, and well-known corporations like Mark and Spencer and Cook. As we prepare to dive into the expansive potential that Jacquie unlocks in those she works with, let us warmly welcome her to share her insights and guide us closer to realizing our boundless capacities. Please join me in welcoming Jacquie Moses to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Nick, for that introduction and for inviting me. I'm really excited to be here.
You're very welcome. I love the idea of our topic, and we're going to go off track. We're going to go down some rabbit holes here. The idea of being who we already are. Maybe we can start with a general definition of that phrase, being, that word. What does that mean to you, and why that, of everything you could choose?
Being to me is the essence of who we are as human beings. It's our very existence. You know, we are called human beings. And what that means to me is that if everybody watching or who will listen to this recording, what it's pointing to is our existence, that we exist right now in this moment. And there's something that's guiding us through life. This sense of an I that we call ourselves I. We know we're here. We can just check in. We don't even have to believe what I'm saying or anybody else or any other speaker has spoken about. We're pointing to, we're here right now.
Can we go down a rabbit hole on this a little bit? Yeah. So there's this idea of being, and many of us think we are being, but what we're truly being is we're acting out a lot of conditioning, programming, stuff that was placed on us. I come from a large family. There's 11 of us in my family. And so I'm number 9. So I got a lot of hand-me-downs in my family, right? And part of those hand-me-downs were familial belief systems, value systems, ethics, morals, attitudes, behaviors that were handed down. And I put those on as though they were me, and they became automated. And I would love to dive down the pathway, and you guide me on this as well, of that. How is it, what is being in distinction to what I just described, all of this stuff we put on?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's been a journey for me, and it still continues to be an exploration for me. And I think it's a lifelong psychological and spiritual exploration. So I want to just say that, but it's also quite simple because we're looking for who we are in many, many places, and it's right here. And that's been my journey. So in terms of the conditioning and the beliefs and what I would call all of that is who we think we are. It's like it kind of wraps up into, we're born into this world and into families, into systems, and those systems have sometimes set narratives that have been passed down through ancestors and family lines and systematic lines, schools, and whatever country you live in, or religions. And we start to believe some of those things that we're being told about ourselves. We start to think that is the truth of who we are. We start to think that that is all of who we are. There is nothing else but what we have been told or what we have believed.
Mm.
And so we live inside of these beliefs, ideas, concepts, social conditions, like it's the only reality that's available to us.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can share my own experience. I'm born in the, I'm 58, I'm approaching 60. So I'm born, my parents are from the Caribbean. They came here to the UK before I was born, and I was born here. I'm first generation from the family born in the UK. So when I was growing up, there was a sense of I'm different because I'm Black, right?
Yeah.
And there was like Enoch Powell around, and he was talking about there was lots of stuff. You'd open the newspapers and they'd be talking really negative things about Black people. My mum and dad would turn things over or not want us to watch it, but very overt stuff. Like rivers of Black people, rivers of them coming here, like we were flooding their country. When we were actually invited from the Caribbean for our parents, for our skills, to be nurses and work in the UK. So that was one of the backdrops to my growing up, is that I felt different. That doesn't say that other people that don't look like me didn't feel different, but that was one of my reasons for feeling different, because that's what I heard. I heard people around us talking about it. I heard family talking about it, complaining about it. So it's you kind of soak it up.
Yeah.
Right. And so I was always brought up with my parents. Well, you've got to do well because you're Black and you've got to do really well. You've got to work twice as hard.
Almost like you have to prove something, right?
Yeah. Oh my God, my whole life was like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Really, really, it is. It was like you've got to do well, and the reason was because I was Black. Now, if I speak to another person, I know lots of people that have this same idea. So you kind of have people that this is something that they believe, even today.
Yeah.
And so that's the kind of stuff that we kind of pick up. And there's so many other things. I'm a woman, I'm a Black woman, of a certain age. You pick up stuff about being a woman. You pick up stuff about your beauty as a woman. It's just so much stuff. Even if there's stuff that goes across color, but then there's stuff that just being a woman or being a young girl, you've got to be careful. You can't do certain things. There's all this stuff that we pick up.
For me, it's being a bald man. I got baldness going on. We've all got our reasons. That's what I hear in this, is we all have something that we attach to, a storyline that we attach to that says, this is why I have to do this, or this is why I can't do this. It's our justification for our lives the way that they are. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, it is. And I want to make it clear that it's an innocent thing. It's innocently done. Like it's not intentional. We don't even know we're doing it.
Beautiful. Thank you for that.
That's the thing about beliefs.
Yeah.
You introduced me and you mentioned the three principles, and and why I love looking through that lens and looking at being through what's this movement around being. It's really had me deepen my inquiry, because consider this is that our experience of life, I've really been delving in for the last 11 years into, or longer than that, but really from the lens of the principles. How is our experience of life really created? Like, how in the moment, how do I laugh? How do I makes me happy? What makes me sad? What makes me feel bliss? How's that actually created? We know we're living it, but what are the things at play that are hidden from our view that if we understood them, we could have possibly, and I know for sure, the hundreds of people, my colleagues and friends and the people I've worked with, and my own life, that we can see life differently. And we start to see that we're looking at life, thinking life is happening to us. That's one way of looking at life. And then we also start to look at life and realize, oh, right, life is happening from the inside out, from our experience and our thoughts and these things that you've mentioned, these beliefs that are hidden from our view. They're running the show, and we don't even know they're running the show until we start to notice them. And that's all innocently done. That's part of being a human being, is that we start to realize there's like different layers or different perceptions or different ways of seeing and experiencing life. And I think the more aware we get of that, the more aware I have, things I would have thought, oh, that caused that.
Yeah.
That made me feel like that, or that person made me feel like that. You start to realize, well, yeah, they did something. And my perception and my thinking, based on my years of all this stuff that I've accumulated and believed to be true, it gets filtered through that, goes into the data bank. If there was a database, it goes right into this, goes swirling around to that, and then I get an image of what I think is happening.
Yeah, I think Carl Jung said it best. He said that until we make the non-conscious conscious, it will continue to rule our lives, and we will call it fate. Right. And, in our 12 journeys that we teach, we talk about the awareness being so vital, because much of what we do is automated. Alfred North Whitehead said that it's the number of important operations that we can perform without thinking by which we advance as a civilization. But the challenge is that many of us are doing those automations. And I appreciate you saying innocently. We don't even know we're doing it. And it's not that we're being nefarious with it. It's just simply what's been programmed in. Or is there a different way to look at that?
Well, that's how it appears, right?
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I'm not a deep psychologist.
Yeah.
But from my understanding is there's nothing wrong with being with these conditionings and beliefs. Or the thought patterns. I really see that. There was a point when I was making my thinking really, really wrong.
Okay, yeah.
Especially when you come into personal development and you've been in it for 20 odd years, and you're still getting certain thought patterns. Hold on, I've been doing this long enough. Why am I still feeling like this? Why am I still thinking like this?
Yeah, you should know better, right?
Why do I think I'm still an idiot? Or why do I still think I'm not good enough yet?
Yeah, wow.
Right. That was a big one for me most of my life. So
yeah,
I think, when we really get real with the kind of things that creep up on us, or that we actually believe, we start to realize that it's pervasive in society, and a lot of people have the same experience, but we're all hiding our experience because we want to look good. That's what we want to do. We want to fit in. We want to belong. And we want to be loved. I do. And so does everybody else.
Yeah.
But I see that when I talk about this innocence, is thoughts pop into our minds, Nick. Like, I mean, do you know what you're going to be thinking in the next 30 seconds?
I have no idea. Yeah.
No, same here.
Yeah.
So why do we think we're going to know about the future? And why do we think that we're in control of the thoughts that just popped into my head? Yep. So I see it now as thoughts are arising and just showing up, just, them folding into this thing that we call the mind. And
that's beautiful.
And then when we believe, there's nothing wrong with the thoughts, right? They're neutral. But when we believe them, and then we have a lot of meaning on them, which is what most of us do. It's the meaning and the believing of them. If I think I'm not good enough, despite everything that I've done, right? And there's no evidence in my life to prove that, but I have a strong sense, that kind of emotion that kind of comes up in me. So, and I had that most of my life. Especially if I'm trying something new or big.
Yeah.
Right? Or think I might get rejected for, or think I might be judged for.
the idea of the thoughts coming up, 50,000 to 70,000 thoughts a day, right? 70% are toward the negative. Only 5% are original, is what they say.
Right.
So that means we're spending similar thoughts going through. And but when we judge ourselves for those thoughts, that's when it gets difficult, right? Like you say, they're just arising, they're just coming up. But the judgment and justification is where we get stuck, because we wake up to it and we say, oh, I'm having the thought that, and then we judge ourselves for having the thought that, whatever that is, right? And then we don't learn anything from it.
Yeah, and if you imagine that it's not just our experience is not just made up of our thoughts. Our experience is made up of our full range of perception, which is our senses, our sensations in our body. You know, have you ever been having the kind of anxious thinking, and then you feel anxious, and you get this sense of anxiousness? Like we've all got our own felt knowing of what that is. We call it anxiousness, or we'll call it depression, or we'll call it happiness, whatever the sensation is. They're the labels. But if we strip the label away, or just put the label to the side, and actually tune in to, like, what does that feel like? What is that without the labels and the mind's the labels of the mind and society? What does it feel like for me to actually have this momentary felt experience? And we start to realize that there is so much of life, or I have, that gets overlooked in every moment, because the mind's very dominant, and we are trained to pay a lot of attention and to believe the mind.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? Right? That's what we're trained in. And you know, you should be thinking better. You're not doing critical thinking. There's all these kind of sayings around the mind. Right? Or you should be, you know, if you're in a team and you're trying to figure out a solution, or you go to work on your thinking, like, let me think harder. And
we believe it. I mean, we give it a label and we think that's true. And so then we look for confirmation of that truth and we find it.
Yeah. And so there's nothing wrong with our experience. Like, this is what I really see now in the world of who are we being, right? You know, and being, firstly, being is who we are.
Period.
That's it.
Without any of the additions.
That's why I paused. Right. Exactly. Yeah, it is who we are, and it is enough. Right? So, and when you spent a lifetime trying to be more than you think you are, right? Because you've got judgments there's thoughts and judgments about who you are. Believed, it doesn't matter where they've come from. We spoke about at the beginning, they've come from many different places. But when you think they are true, and the thinking that you're having in your mind is true, and it's giving you an experience, and it's being expressed through you, then we kind of get limited to what's available to us. Right? So we start to, if I believe this is true, if I think I'm not good enough, then I'm not going to try certain things. I'm not going to speak to certain people. Doesn't matter how anyone else thinks how powerful you are, or they're really clever or really smart. When you have that momentary feeling, because it's not there all the time, in that moment, there will be things that will be cut off, that will not be available to you. And even if you see them as opportunities, you won't be able to do them. I've done that many times. Many times. I've been invited to do things and I've just said, I can't do it.
Can we hang here for a minute? Like, this is powerful. I've been sitting with this thought this week around who we think we are, our essence of who we are. In my world, I call that a giant. But then we have all this small stuff that we put on and we think that's who we are. So we play from that. And those beliefs become self-fulfilling in both directions. Self-fulfilling in the sense that I can, self-fulfilling in the sense that I can't.
Yeah,
Right.
good point,
And
good point.
based
Yeah.
on that self-fulfilling prophecy that we have of ourselves, we do or we don't. Like Henry Ford says, whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right.
Mhm.
And so, but coming back to that is, if we don't think we can change, we don't do anything to lean toward that change.
Yeah, because it won't be available to you. Because what would you change into? Firstly, if you don't think you can
Mm,
change, then you live in the realm of what's in the realm of what that thinking is telling you.
mm.
Okay, so we're in that realm. There's nothing wrong with it. That's the thing. This is the lovely thing about it, that
That needs to be highlighted right there. There's nothing wrong. It's okay. Right.
yeah, because I think it's important, and
Yeah.
I mean, people that know me know that I stress this a lot, because I've been caught in that trap. Like, something's wrong because I can't see anything. I can't see a way out, or I can't change this.
Mm,
Why can't I change this? Um, why can't I stop doing this? You know, I've beaten myself up with all of those thoughts
mm,
over the years. And so, put it this way, we both agree that being is who we are, and that is enough. Our existence is enough.
mm,
The fact that we're here having a conversation, that we have, with all the resources in the entire universe, we, Nick, Jacquie, and everybody watching, and their families, we were created. All the resources in the world,
mm.
spiritual and everything else. And we came into this body, this vessel, this body mind vessel. I mean, that's incredible in itself when you really look at it, right? And so, and if we look at, okay, this, what's created us? And we can say we came through our parents, the body, the vessel of our parents. But what I'm seeing really clearly is that we are an expression of something much bigger than the bodies in the world, more
Mm,
than who I am. Right? So we're an expression of that, and we come into this finite body. So I came in as this finite body with this color skin, with this
mm.
type of hair, with these kind of eyebrows, with these color eyes,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? With my
Yeah.
type of teeth, and we come in with my shape. You came in looking like you.
Yeah.
Both came in with a lot more hair, maybe, or had a bit more hair.
Yeah.
But
Possibly. Yeah.
imagine us as babies. Like,
Yeah.
there's nobody looking at us as babies thinking that something's wrong with us.
And we're not looking at each other that way.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we come into this world, like, beautiful. We get to come through certain bodies. So we look like, what I love looking at children just walking along the street, or people that introduce me, or my family members, children that look just like their parents, just like their grandparents, just like their aunties. I'm just like, wow, I just love to see it. I'll be walking, smiling, like, look at him. He looks just like his dad. I've got that in my head. It just looks just like the grandmother. I find that fascinating.
Mm.
Absolutely fascinating. So we come into this world, and then we get, as we said, we grow up and we start to adopt ideas, concepts, beliefs, conditioned thoughts,
Yes.
and through various forms that we spoke about at the beginning. And then we start to form an idea. Then we get a strong sense of I in the world. Because children that have that at a little age are just running around. And then at kind of 2, 3, you start to see them get this opinion and no and I, and we get this sense, a strong sense of an I, like an identity.
I've got a thought here that ties right into that. Laurel Erica was on our show. She's a linguist, and she talked about capital I, which is shaped like a pillar connecting heaven and earth. And then the lowercase I, which is the identity that we take on as humans, that I. And it's a strong lowercase I, because when you really get to the capitalized I of who we are, it's there is no distinction between us and anybody else, or that heaven and earth.
Yeah, that's the core sense, or the core ground of our being, right?
Yeah.
You know, and that core ground of our being that we are an expression of in this human form, we get to experience life. We can't life. The being that we're talking about, the capital I or the capital self, small s,
Yeah.
big S, self, personality, the ego, whatever we want to call it. There's so many different terms for it, right? We get to experience life through that. So I'm really grateful for this I. And so this I, speak for myself, then starts to believe stuff. And this is how I really see it, is after years of personal development and believing many, many stories about myself and working with many people believing stories about themselves, and I'm sure it will go on for the rest of my life, but there's freedom. Now freedom is available now, because if I am an expression in the world of the universe, and I'm going to use different names so everyone feels included.
Sure.
Like that the universe, or God, consciousness, the Most High, source energy, that life force, life. Let's just call it life. If I'm an expression of life in this human body, and this body, so if I see it like this, we have been gifted with this human body, right? And prior to coming into this life, there are some pre-existing principles or some pre-existing things that we get to carry into this life. We get to carry in consciousness, that we get to be conscious of our life, of our feelings, of our thoughts, and other people, and what we're doing. We get to carry in this gift of being, this powerful gift of being able to have thoughts. There's other beings that don't have the same thought processes as us. Maybe they're better off, or who knows, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's this sense
I don't know. It's been so long thinking this way. It's like I don't know any other way.
No, right?
Yes.
And we get to have the power of thought. We come in with this power. But inside of this power of thought, it's really the power of perception for me, because you get to sense things, you get to hear things, you get to feel, you get to have sensations in the body, you get to, there's all of it, it's all combined. And we also get this gift of being deeply connected to something bigger than who we are, this universal energy. We come into the world, and most of us forget it, that we were connected to this universal energy, and we live, and our journey, I suppose, is waking up to that. And so we come into this world, and then we grow up thinking we're separate, whether we're separate from the big I, as he described it,
Mm.
or we're separate from God, or we're separate from love, or we're separate from the source, life, that we think we're doing life rather than life is doing us.
Can we play with that? That right there is so key. Many of my frustrations, I think Byron Katie talks about that, is we generate our own suffering. We think something should be a way, and it's not. We have ideals for life, and it's not. Lisa Feldman Barrett talks about it in her work. She says that we feel depressed when we're not living up to our own ideals, and we feel anxious when we think we're not living up to the ideals that we think others have for us. And so we have these ideals of how life should go, and we should control it. It should go this way, and we should be a certain way, and all these shoulds and all these ideals, and we miss them. And we put all our effort and energy into it, and it doesn't change it, because we think we're the ones that are dictating how it goes, the timing, the how, the way, the perception of if it's successful or a failure, all of that.
Yeah.
And when you go into this idea of life is happening through you, right? Then that changes all of that. I think of Michael Singer and his work, The Surrender Experiment and more, life happens through you. But we think we create life. We create it. We think we are the ones out here manipulating it, right?
But it looks like that to us, right?
Yeah.
We're not crazy. It does look like that to us.
Maybe a little crazy.
Because I like to keep things real, because it does look like that to us, and we have been taught, and that's part of the conditioning as well, that we're in charge of life, and so we can give ourselves some grace with that. Well, I give that, really, one of the things I really do give myself is a lot of grace on my humanness.
I hear that. Yeah.
Really, really a lot of grace, and that wasn't always the case. So this is so we're in this world, and we're having our experience, and we're having beliefs, and if life is really living us, when I start to see that life is really living me, like, something shifts. So I'll say some more about that. So right now, I'd like to anybody listening to this, what if we could just tune in for ourselves to see how does this make sense to you? Because I'm breathing right now, and most of the time I'll say I am breathing. And when I say I am breathing, I mean I am making breathing happening. It kind of feels like I'm breathing, right?
I'm doing this, right?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the way it appears. But even though it appears like that, when you start to tune in and start to notice from a different perspective, from a different way of seeing life, and it's only a slight shift, it's just a noticing, really. I start to notice, actually, breathing is breathing me. Like, breathing is happening. Right? I can maybe stop trying to hold my breath. But for me to exist as a human being, breathing is happening. And I'm not even thinking about breathing. It is happening. I'm not working anything out to breathe. And then I also then look at, well, there's, I think, 11 to 12 systems in the body right now. And if I'm looking at you and the people that are listening or going to watch this, just tune in. There's 11 systems in your body. Endocrine system, digestive system, so many, I can't say them all the organ system, the skin system, the skeletal system, there's so many systems at play. We're not got nothing to do with that.
37 trillion cells, 7 octillion atoms in one human body.
Right. So You've got all the details. I love that you've got all that information, because I'm not always up on that kind of stuff.
You don't have to be. That's the beauty of this, right?
Yeah, I love
You
it.
don't have to be.
So
Yeah.
this is the thing. They are happening without me. Right? So that is evidence that life is happening. We are nature. That's why we say our human nature. We are part of nature, and often we forget that. That's why when we go out into nature, we feel good. And if you're a city person like me, or urban, living in the city, when we get out into nature or just go for a walk in local parks, you just go, because there's something about the connection that we get reminded about. We don't even know it on a logical level. It's just a resonance of being back home.
There's a peace, right? I hear you. I hear Gary Mahler, others, Michael Singer, who are in this state of flow. Life is happening through them and through you. And until we get that, we tend to try to force life. The word manipulate, meaning to take into your hand and to change its form through pressure, through force, right? To manipulate it. That's what we try to do as humans. And it comes down to perception. We think that's what we need to do because it's what we've been conditioned to do. But you're offering something totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm talking about something different. I don't know if I'm offering something different, but I am.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I don't want to say that I'm offering, because I don't think that everyone's meant to take the same path.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? So that's, I just know what path I'm on, and what
Thank
I'm
you
willing,
for that.
and what,
Yeah.
and what I'm willing to share. And so I just see that we're all here. We've got our own journeys, and we're all awake, and we're all trying to find ourselves, find our ways home. That Rumi quote, that we're trying to find our way home, back to the self, back to the being, the core being of who we are. That place that we all know on some level. I remember taking my nephew, he's 30 something now. And I remember our local library, they were doing some mosaicing, they were mosaicing the walls. And they invited residents to come and join in.
Okay.
And I took him, and he was around 2 years old, and I took him out on my own, and we were doing this mosaicing. And I remember thinking, where did the time go? When you're doing something you really enjoy,
yeah,
you don't have any sense of yourself. You're just doing what you're doing. You're enjoying it. We use words like this all the time. We're in the flow.
Yeah.
I was just there. Athletes, when I love athletics, and when you listen to the athletic people after they've run a race, the journalists are normally there with the mic trying to get something out of them. And a lot of the times they just say, I don't know, I just ran my race. They've already done the training.
Yeah.
They're in the game now. They're just in the game. They're just in the flow, right? In the vibe. We talk about it's in our language. And I was just in this, and I just was like, wow. And I remember trying to get back to that place. And it came up to me today, like, wow, we know this place. And then we spend our time trying to get back to this blissful feeling. And then we don't know how to get back. Sometimes we don't know how to get back. So we'll use things to get back there. Drugs, food, sex, everything. Because it gives us a sense of that momentary feeling. Or whatever things we do, shopping or whatever. And we innocently do these things because we're trying to find our way back home. And I just see the beauty in that, and the innocence in that, because when we start to see that everything and wherever we are in life, or whatever experience we're having, or whatever way of being is being expressed through me right now, If life is living me and being expressed in me, as me, through me, for me, then if I'm upset today, or if I'm sad, that's perfect. That's perfection. That's divinity, the perfection of divinity right now.
Mm. Those perceptual filters, I call it the SPF, sensory perception filters, right? We put on our SPF to block things in the world, to block our own view of the world. And so as life's trying to express through us, it gets filtered through those SPFs, right? And so we're sitting there trying to experience the world, but we're experiencing it through the filters that we've placed on the world. So we're not really fully experiencing it the way that it could be experienced, as you're describing here. We're experiencing it the way we are. It's like we don't see life the way it is. I think it was Wayne Dyer that said that. We see life as we are.
Yeah, and I think we can say some more about that. We're seeing it as it appears to be for us.
I like that even better. Yeah.
Because it's through our perception.
Right.
I think people are bad.
Mm.
I'm going to have my life experience will be that I will see the bad in people. I will often not see the good in them. This is not how I see the world, but that's just an idea. And I will see a lot of the bad, and I will pick up on a lot of the bad, and I will be going through life in a certain way of being, like being cautious of people, being fearful of people, being
trusting, right?
Not trusting.
Yeah.
But even that is done innocently.
See, and that is key right there. There's no right or wrong in this. Innocently.
Who's going to actually create that consciously?
Yeah.
That if our experience is created through our perception, like our whole experience is created, right?
Yeah.
Right. So that's feelings and everything else that comes with that. Then that means that I didn't pop that thought in my head or that conditioning in my head to be cautious. I was taught that, or maybe I had an experience in my life that said to me, it's not trusting or safe to trust people. That could be the very thing that's protected that person, or did protect them when they first got that belief.
Mm.
So that's the innocence of it, right? And then it continues to be believed and lived out until something else is seen or something else gets revealed for them.
Mm.
So that's when I say the innocence of it. It's like, and then there's also the consciousness of God, or whatever we want to call it, the names that we shared at the beginning. That gets to experience itself being a cautious person in the world.
Mm.
Like it gets to experience that.
Yeah.
But the beauty about this is our being and who we really are. It is not it's not this personality, and it's not what's happening to us, and it's not our thoughts, and it's not our feelings. It is the presence that's aware of what's happening.
Mm.
So if I sit here right now, I'm aware that I'm talking to you. I'm aware, like I said to you at the beginning, that the camera looks a bit funny.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm aware of, if I put my hand on my face, I'm aware of the sensation in between my hand and my cheeks.
Mm.
I'm aware that the light the daylight is going in a little bit. I'm aware that my hands are a little bit cold. I'm aware of that. Okay. I'm aware, and if I go a bit below the surface of that, I get to be aware of my feelings. eyes could be open. And then I get to realize, if I notice a bit more, I can notice some of my thoughts that I might be having. Right? And the more that we kind of play in the awareness and noticing, we start to see that, like the sky is always there. The sun comes out, the clouds come out, it gets dark, rains, lightning. They're all temporary activities. And just like my thoughts are an experience in the moment, my feelings are an experience in the moment. My way of being is a temporary experience in the moment. Beautiful that I get to live life so rich. And so, what if we could bring more love and compassion to all of our experience, even the ones we don't want, and that we could even love or bring kindness to and compassion to the resistance, even the part of us that doesn't like it or doesn't want to be like this.
Too, right?
I don't want to be like this. Why am I still like this? Why? What if we started? What if we were just kind to that part of our humanness?
Yeah.
And I find that the more that I've been able to embrace my humanness and know that these are experiences that I get to witness, that I am the consciousness that is aware of it all. And I get to see that I am more than my body, mind, and this rich universe, God, energy, life force that has created all of us. I get to see that I'm seeing more and more that, oh wow, if it created me, then it created Nick, and then it created everybody else, and it's living through Nick, and it's living through everybody.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful feeling to start to see that life is for us. It really is. It's for us, and all the difficult and challenging and painful and happy experiences that we've had are invitations to get to know ourselves a little bit more. That the things I don't like about myself is an invitation to maybe give myself some attention and love in the moment and get to know myself a little bit. It's like a little alarm oil it's like a little light on the dashboard, like, hey, can I have your attention, please?
Yes. Yeah.
Right, but normally what we do, we beat ourselves up for it and start judging ourselves, and we start making ourselves wrong for being human. And I think my whole ethos is loving my humanness and loving yours.
Yeah.
I mean, I might not like it all, but it's about loving the part that doesn't like it too.
Yeah. And we all have our preferences too, right?
Yeah, it doesn't mean, and listen, that doesn't mean that we need to hang out all the time. That doesn't mean that I'm going to marry you or I want you in my house.
Right.
I mean, I've worked in a prison sharing something similar to 3 principles for many years and 4.5 years, and you get to see the humanity in every single human being when you see it in yourself first.
Yeah. Wow.
Right, and it doesn't mean that you don't have struggles in your life. It doesn't mean that your life is perfect. It means that what I'm seeing is you start to see the beauty and richness and vastness of life, and we're our source of our creativity. You start to see how resourceful we are, that we can get knocked down. And like a couple of years ago, my mum got diagnosed with cancer, and I thought I was just so shocked. The whole family was so shocked, but I was devastated because I'm really close to my mum, and I was sitting in the hospital with her. She was going through some tests, and was crying. I was upset. The family were upset. It was a big shock. I'm sure it is for everybody. And it was quite serious what they were talking about. I remember sitting in the hospital crying, and that just felt like the end of the world. My life's over. And then I noticed something. I noticed that I was living like she was going to die, like tomorrow. It was like, it felt like she was going tomorrow. And I noticed that and thought, I'm in a huge, it's totally understandable. I want to make that clear.
Yes. Yep.
The story, like my mind, the imagination had gone into the future, and it was coming back, and it was creating all these scenarios. And I mean, it was just one day of the doctor saying, "Can you come in for more tests? But we think it's this." But the mind was going, and it was traumatizing me. I was scared. And as soon as I noticed that, it went, fell down like a pack of cards. Like a pack of cards. Now, does it mean I wasn't sad anymore? No. But I was sad without the suffering.
Yeah. Yeah. Big difference.
Does it mean I wasn't scared anymore? No. Did it mean that I was worried? Did it mean that I wasn't worried that that I could lose my mum? No. It meant that, but the suffering that was on top of that, with the imagination creating all these scenarios, as soon as I kept spotting it and like bringing myself back to present, bringing myself back.
Yeah.
And then guess what happened? I got more resourceful. And I could hold a space for myself and my mum and the family in a complete different way.
Yeah.
Cry when I need to, and be present when I needed to.
That's beautiful. I hear it as that acknowledgement of what is, the acknowledgement of what's going on, the awareness of what's going on. If I recap all the way back, there's a you that's you, regardless of what's going on in this perceptual world of yours. There's you that's connected to source. And then there's a you as an identity, as a perceptual being, a human that filters and it sees things. And when you can be okay with that, whether you agree with it or disagree with it, when you're okay with it, it's okay. You start to be okay with you, and it opens you up to start to see things a little differently. It expresses the gratitude of wow, this is amazing. Like Eckhart Tolle says, he says that gratitude turns what we have into enough.
Oh, right? Love that.
And here you are, you shift that view of I am where I am. It's okay that I am where I am. And I know I'm more than where I'm at. Then it opens the door for more to come in.
Yeah. And you know that you, the bigger you, or the infinite self.
Yeah.
That broader sense of who we are. It's limitless. It created everything here that we know, and that's who we are. We're connected to that.
Yeah,
it's limitless. It's unbound. It's and then everything happens inside of it. Everything happens inside of it, and we get to see suffering. We get to see sadness. We get to see happiness. We get to see. We get to see that all our moments to moment experiences, regardless of what they are, with no label on them if they're good or bad, and even if we have labels on them that they're good or bad, that's fine. We get to see that isn't happening inside of this bigger you, this infinite, limitless, boundless you. You get to kind of in the noticing, like just stopping. It's a felt thing. It's something that only the individual can. So it's self-inquiry. It's like we're talking about it. It's quite conceptual right now, but to really come into this ground of being is to pause, is to slow down, and is to turn inward and be curious about who am I? Like, what is this? What is this all about? Like, it's been my journey, really, being curious. Like, at the beginning of my bio, my mum used to say to me as a child, all I did was ask why.
Yeah.
That is all I did. Why?
Yeah.
And I continue to do that.
I love that. I want to ask you as we wrap up here, if there were a question that you wish somebody would ask you in an interview like this, and maybe it's not a question, maybe you just have a thought that comes up of something you'd like to share that you wish you could share in an interview, what would that be? What question would you want to be asked, or what would you want to share?
My message right now, what's emerging in my consciousness and lately is around the same thing, that who we already are.
Mm.
That's where our power is. That's where our knowing is. That infinite knowing, that intuition, when we just know, when we turn into that, that's where we get resourced from. Like, we're looking to all the things that we're looking for in the world, to feel happier, to feel that we belong, to feel secure, all the things I've looked for in my life, and I'm sure I'll continue, but in a different way. Yeah. All the seeking that we're looking for is for a reason, because we want to feel home. We want to feel okay. And I want people to know that they are already okay. And then the beliefs and conditioning that we talked about earlier, it's like the cloud going over the sun. It veils it, and then we think we've lost it. But what we know about the nature of most things are they're temporary. And then who we are gets revealed again. The more that we tune into who we really are, that it's already enough, because a lot of the things we're trying to do is to prove that we're enough. That was my meaning. The more we tune into this place and see that, gosh, how could I ever think this wasn't enough? It's created everything. It's it's limitless, boundless. We realize that the peace we're looking for is here within us. It always has been here, and sometimes we lose sight of it.
I think of Byron Katie's quote as you say that, as long as we think the problem is out there or something else or someone else, there is no hope, right? That we really are the source of our healing, the source of our pain, and it's innocent. I love that you add the innocence to it. Your suffering doesn't make you a bad person.
Oh gosh.
Right?
I mean, if that was the case, then I would be a bad person.
Me too. Me too. Yeah.
Because I don't know anyone.
The worst.
I don't know anyone that does not suffer, right?
Yeah.
This is the source of suffering. Where you are right now, if you are suffering, I hear this a lot when I'm coaching people as well. Oh, I don't want to feel negative. I got a lot of negativity, or I don't want to feel sad, or I don't want to feel whatever we're experiencing in the moment is what is being expressed to us through consciousness, right? And when we are trying to get away from that feeling or that expression that is being expressed through us, to try to get to another state of mind, or try to get to be happy, or try to get to be peaceful, like we're trying to do it ourselves, right? That's a source of suffering. That point there is a source of suffering, because what we're saying is, where I am right now is not okay.
Yeah.
What is happening right now is not okay. And ultimately what we're saying is, I'm not okay for experiencing this.
I just had this flash of the story of Jonah and the whale, right?
Wow.
Running from everything. This is what we do. And then like the well, it consumes us,
Wow.
spits us out, right? Like spits us out so that we finally wake up, I mean, just a flash of that as you're speaking there is you can't run from the well. Um,
We can try to, right? I
yeah,
mean, I've spent most of my life running, so it's
yeah,
what if that is part of the journey?
mm,
Like it's not wrong; it's part of the journey, and part of the journey is for some people, but
mm,
it has been for me, has been that is the very thing that has brought me to see what I'm speaking about right now.
yeah.
The suffering has been like, no, I can't be doing this. I can't be doing with the suffering all my life. I feel still got 20 years left. Please, God,
There's so much.
show me another way. Yeah,
Oh, you have
it
no idea how
it kind of
refreshing.
it kind of keeps that seeking because you know.
Yeah,
It's like because I remember the time when I was doing the mosaicing. I
yeah,
remember the times when I'm in nature. I remember the times when I'm on a beautiful beach and everything feels good. I remember the times in the mornings when I just wake up and I know everything's okay, and then the day just gets swept away with other thoughts. That's what we're all seeking. That's why we're all
yeah,
trying different things. So that's why I keep saying it's the innocence and the beauty of life, the dynamic beauty of life.
yeah. That's beautiful. We're at time here. I'd love to keep going. I know we've only touched the top of the iceberg here with you. There's so much more in there. There always is with these. We'll get to hear more from you at the event in Birmingham, which I'm excited to hear. Um, but for those that are watching, you really make these master classes powerful by being here with us. We see your comments, you share this with people, you tag people, all of those things help get this word out. If you haven't gotten your ticket to the event, go do that. Stop waiting. Don't put it off. Grab the ticket and then let life help you figure out how to get there. If that's the challenge, let life help you get there. It tends to work out once you make that first step, that little simple step. Um, for you that are watching, you already are, like Jackie's saying, you already are. You be who you already are. Now it's a practice of getting back into allowing that to flow through you. Is that accurate, Jackie?
Yeah, beautifully sums up. And I love
Yep.
what he just said. You ask people to, if they're not sure how they're going to get there, they can just tune in and ask themselves, like, or the universe, tune in to this, all of who they are, and like, how am I going to get here?
Yeah, yeah. Great
How,
question, right?
and see what comes up in them. Their intuition will guide them,
Yeah,
or it may not, but it may guide them to
yeah,
make the right choice for them.
yeah. I agree. Come join us. Make that decision. Cut off the word decision means to cut off. It means you're no longer in between, oscillating
Mm,
between. You're cutting it off. You're in, and that commitment opens doors for other things to happen. But allow it to flow. Allow it to flow through you. You don't have to force being there. It will flow through you. So grab your ticket. Make that step. Uh, Please join us again. We're going to be back here on Sunday with another great show. Only a few days from now with Lindsay Capp. So we hope you'll join us for that as well. If you heard something in this message that you think would serve somebody in your world, share the link with them. Make sure that they hear this message. Tell them why they should listen to this message and send it to them. It could change their life. It really could open them up to the healing that they've been looking for. Is there anything else to share today, Jackie, before we wrap up?
Just thank you, Nick. This conversation has been wonderful, and thank you for everybody that's been able to tune in and that will watch. It's been a pleasure, and I hope to see everyone in Birmingham very soon.
We're going to be there sooner than we think, right?
Mm,
I love it. So for everybody that's watching, thank you for being here today. We will see you in the next episode. Go make it a giant day.
thank you.